What's up, everybody? Good late morning. And again, I don't really know what to keep doing with this little series. This video series tends to be quite popular and well received, and people obviously get stuff from it when the team is doing at least somewhat successfully. But, it feels weird. It feels goofy to sit here and talk about these other games like they affect the Seahawks when the Seahawks have lost 4 of their last 5 games and have gone from a team with a lot of promise to a team that is now just trying to, just fight back in the fight even. They're not even in the ring anymore, it feels like. And until we get our stuff together, it's almost like who cares? But if you want to be clinical about this, at the time these games were played, for the most part, we wanted certain outcomes based on us hoping the Seahawks could beat the Rams. So just to go ahead and go through this, just as like a little post-mortem for Week Nine's rooting guide. And again, I don't know what to do with this series going forward. Um, I don't mind doing it early in the season, right? I know some people are like, "Why are you doing this early in the season? This is too early to think about this stuff." And I'm glad I did, because then I wouldn't be able to do it later, because at that point it really may not matter at all. It might matter in the opposite direction that we think, at least. But let's go ahead and go through it. Texans, Jets. I guess this actually went our way. We want the Jets to win because strength of schedule. Now, I still wanted the Texans to win, honestly, because I think it would have been funnier to see Aaron Rodgers maybe retire in the middle of the season like Vontae Davis. But with the Jets at 3-6, probably not going to happen. If it didn't happen at 2-6, okay. So I guess it kind of went our way, but it's so insignificant. It's not even worth tripping on. Cowboys, Falcons. I did say last week I wanted the Falcons to just run away with that division at this point. And the Cowboys are a team that at this point is looking at wild card at best. And now after that game, they're not even doing that, right? Dak is probably going to miss 3-4 games, they're saying. And they really don't have anything else on that team that works at all, right? The only thing on that team that worked even a little bit was Dak and the passing attack. And now they've lost that. I don't imagine them winning another game for the duration of Dak being out, honestly. So they are probably done, not necessarily just by the loss, but the loss would have dinged them. So probably one less wild card contender in the NFC to worry about. Again, if the Seahawks ever want to start winning games again, maybe that would matter to them. Dolphins, Bills didn't really mean anything to the Seahawks either way. Got really nothing there. If this keeps up, maybe we'll be saying we want the Dolphins to win some games so they can pick higher and we can pick lower and we can pick higher in the draft. But we're not there yet. Goofy to talk about at the moment. Raiders, Bengals. That's another nothing. There was really not much of anything going on there for us. Chargers, Browns. Same thing. Nothing. Patriots, Titans. We actually did want the Patriots to win because of the strength of schedule thing. Again, it's very, very minor. It's chicken feed compared to some of these other games meant. But we did actually want New England to win, so that was rough to get the miracle play with no time left and then have them still lose it. I mean, it's brutal for their fans or whatever, right? It's not brutal for me because it's such a small thing. There's nothing brutal about it from my perspective. But Commanders, Giants. I felt like the Giants were already toast, so I just wanted them to win just to mix things up a little bit, but wasn't expecting it. Didn't think it was going to happen, and it did not happen. So, yeah. Commanders, I guess they still have to play Philly twice. I do kind of feel like they're going to ultimately run away with the division, but the thing is, I think the East is going to produce a wild card team at this point with Philly. And you can kind of see how quickly the wild card spots disappear, right? Because you've got one for the Packers and Lions, unless the Vikings completely fall out. It's both wild card spots there, right? And then you have the other wild card going to probably Philadelphia or Washington. It's all already gone. Now, if Minnesota completely falls out, then you've got other teams that can get involved, and you're in the race with basically your division rivals only. But I mean, that needs to happen first. Saints Panthers, actually, I did say I think this was preferable. The Saints were dead, but now people are really burying them at this point. They're 2-7, and I don't think we have to think about them as any kind of a remote NFC threat at all. In fact, you look at that division, and it's impossible to imagine Atlanta not winning that division at this point. So it's pretty much a place to wrap on that. So it's nice that the South is not going to send up any real wild card contenders, because Tampa Bay, we'll get to them in a second, but they're going to have some problems here probably with their situation at receiver. Broncos, Ravens, again, just strength of schedule stuff here. We wanted the Broncos to win just for that, but wasn't really expecting it, and certainly did not get it, not even close. So then you've got Jaguars, Eagles. Jacksonville cannot come through for us. We want these little victories here and there from them, and they can't do it. They let us down again. They actually got really close there at the end. They had a chance that you could even argue they probably should have won, but no. They can't help anybody out. They can't help us out at all. And, I mean, again, the Eagles, I wasn't a big fan of what they did this offseason. I'm not a big fan of the way that team is built, but it's hard to imagine anything other than a playoff appearance for them at this point, one way or the other. Bears, Cardinals, okay. What do I say about that, right? What do I say about that? Not even close to what we needed, not even close to what we wanted. And I know it doesn't really matter that much because of what we did in our game. Like, we don't really deserve help when we can't even help ourselves, but we did not need the Cardinals feeling like this division's for the taking. Like, at least the Rams and Niners have had big-time records of success over the past several years. I really don't want to see that Cardinals team leapfrog us in the line. I'm not happy about that. Lions, Packers, I wrestled with this one. I ultimately decided I just wanted Detroit to run away with the division. Just let them win as many games as possible at this point, and have the Packers get pushed down a peg, because we still play the Packers. So if we get our stuff together, we could actually be in control of our destiny to a certain extent, because because we could beat them and probably own a tiebreaker on them. Don't know how I feel about that scenario now. That seems like a pretty unlikely one to play out at this point. But if you want to be completely thorough in your rooting interest for this team, yeah, I think the Packers losing is probably good, because we're not catching Detroit, and they already have the tiebreaker on us no matter what. Colts, Vikings, Sunday night game. I mean, this is why I'm wondering about the Vikings, right? Some people were acting like they were going to crash to a 7 or 8 win team after they lost Darisaw. But they banked this win at home, and I imagine that there are going to be 3 more winnable games left on their schedule. That gets them at least close to the fight. I wonder if that's going to be enough. And this was a game where Indy could have really come through for us and knocked them down. And we'd probably be looking at this thing very differently if this game had gone the other way, where Minnesota would look like the team that is just poised to collapse completely, but didn't get it. And then we had last night's game where I know it feels like it doesn't matter that much, and I know everyone's kind of gut instinct is to always root against the Chiefs, but this was actually low-key kind of a big deal. We needed KC to come through last night, and they did with the OT win. Tampa's just not a team that we need to be getting involved here. If Tampa gets involved in the wild card race, it's going to be so crowded. And maybe some of you guys don't care about that right now, but we're 4-5, which is now the same record as Tampa Bay. Like, they are the one team that could come out of the South here and kind of mess things up for these other teams. We've got too much competition in the wild card race as is. So if you want to be clinical, we want Tampa Bay to lose just for that. And that could actually end up being a big deal that they did lose that game, because they're going to be hard-pressed to squeeze out wins the rest of the way, probably because of all their injuries, but they came close last night, so maybe you can't even say that. All right, that's the Rooting Guide post-mortem. I know people are kind of not even really thinking about this stuff right now. People are kind of just like, can we have this? Can we revisit this conversation if the Seahawks ever win again? But if they do get back in the fight, it's still worth paying attention to this stuff when it happens at the time and see how it affects your chances. But can't really call it a good week, can you? We needed it. We were only really deeply looking at a couple of games here, and for the most part, it just didn't go our way, which matches up with the game that we played. So it's what we deserve. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming later. And everyone have a good day.